Today's discussion is going to be taking a break from some of my more controversial opinions. Well, I'm hoping that this isn't a controversial opinion, and I could be out of touch enough that it is indeed controversial, but I'll find out. Regardless, thanks for the support on the videos, regardless of if you agree with my opinions or not. I don't expect everyone to agree, but thank you. Today I wanted to talk about Arcstrider and why I think that this is going to be a very, very meta-dominant class in the new update, with all the changes to the abilities, especially with the changes to the tier system of super cooldowns. If you haven't seen this stuff, I recommend you read up on the TWAB that all this information was in, because it's coming on Tuesday, which is pretty soon. And like I said, I think Arcstrider, for many reasons, and many of the changes that took place, will be undoubtedly one of the best or most played, or both, subclasses in the game. The first thing that kind of made this ring a bell in my head was because if you take a look at the super tier list of cooldowns, Arcstrider, for whatever reason, was placed as a tier 3 super and not a tier 2 with the majority of the roaming supers. Now, I don't think Arcstaff is a phenomenal super. I don't think it's perhaps quite as good as, let's say, Spectral Blades, which is a tier 1. That's the slowest regeneration time, or maybe even Fist of Havoc, or I don't know, some of the other supers in the game is my point. However, I definitely think it's just as good as things like Golden Gun or Nova Warp or Storm Trance, etc., especially with the buff it just got. It lasts like forever now. It has a shockingly long duration time. I'm surprised by it still when I play it, which this has been the class I've been playing most for a long while now. But they've put Arcstrider in the same tier as things like Shadow Shot, Burning Maul, Nova Bomb, and Thunder Crash, and I think compared to those supers, it is just very obviously better than all of those supers, at least in my opinion. That being said, a lot of these changes, as were mentioned, are in preparation for further changes in the future, which we might not have the full picture of, but as of right now, I think Arcstrider as a tier 3, having a faster super regen time than a lot of other supers that I would say it's just as good as, is going to be very strong for Arcstaff. Now, I think there was mention that this tier system might not come into influence too much. It's going to be more dependent on how well you play with the new system of how you gain super energy, basically by being in engagements. But I think that doesn't matter so much, because if a good player is playing Arcstaff, they're still going to be able to get it faster than, let's say, a good player playing Spectral Blades. So this is still going to have a lot of benefit in that regard. I think we all know the importance and impact of getting your super quicker than others, and while Arcstrider might be a little easier to deal with or easier to shut down than some other supers like in the tier 1 category, it's definitely not a slouch and is definitely hard or very good in the hands of a skilled player, or even some decent players, I want to say. And the other half of this class's success is going to be in its neutral game. Because of some buffs and nerfs that have happened, I think the neutral game of especially bottom tree Arcstrider, I prefer top tree, and I still think I will play top tree, but I think the majority will find that bottom tree Arcstrider is going to be the most powerful. The subclass has already been good competitively for so long. Bottom tree Arcstrider allows you to essentially focus on playing the game and having good fundamentals and reaping benefits as a result for just playing, and benefits that actually go a pretty long way, I would say, in any sort of competitive setting. Focus breathing to get increased sprint speed is fantastic. Sprint speed and timings is important for rotations and getting places first and being able to disengage. Disorienting blow isn't incredible, but it's still an influencing enough melee that could turn the tides in a close range battle. It's not great, but definitely not useless. Combat meditation gives you faster cooldown for abilities, which is fantastic. And then being harder to kill while dodging, so like you're already get harder to kill and then you get damage resistance, that's a very strong ability. This subclass is very, very good, and it's only going to get better. With the reduction in ability cooldowns, combat meditation is going to be very good to supplement and make up for that, so you're still getting decent enough cooldowns, essentially just for playing the game and staying alive effectively, which you really want to be doing anyways. I forgot to mention that in addition to the already valuable increased sprint speed, sprinting recharges your dodge faster. So the dodge just got yet another cooldown nerf, and for those that want to keep using Gambler's dodge, this is going to be really important. I mean, it's important in general because it's going to allow you to have something, I'm assuming, closer to that of the pre-nerf cooldowns, but especially if you're using Gambler's dodge and you want to use Gambler's dodge, this is going to be really, really important. I think I'd probably change to Marksman's Dodge for this class, just so you get more uptime on your dodge, of course, and get your lightning reflexes or the Juggernaut dodge more often. But again, focus breathing is going to be huge to counteract that nerf. So far, we have 2 things on this class that essentially counteract some pretty big nerfs on the Hunter. As for top tier Arcstrider, I mentioned I don't think this is going to be the popular option, although I like it and I think it'll still be very strong. Combination Blow is the center essentially of this subclass, and it's going to have more uptime because it's getting buffed. Because it was pretty much dependent on Gambler's Dodge to get it. Now it's not going to be as dependent. I'm still going to use Gambler's Dodge with this class because when you get a melee kill, which of course is harder in a more organized setting, but when you do get a melee kill, you immediately get your dodge back. So you're able to keep looping your dodge and your melee, which is obviously really good, especially when the dodge's uptime is going down overall, especially again for the Gambler's Dodge. So I think that's what will make this class very, very good. The class is getting a bit of a nerf because as of now, Deadly Reach lasts 10 seconds, and that's pretty much the entirety of your dodge cooldown. It's not going to do that anymore, so you're going to have to be a little bit more pickier and choosier when you activate Deadly Reach and actually capitalizing on it. So a little nerf in that regard, but I still think top tier Arcstrider does a fantastic job of getting around the dodge nerfs, and that's why it'll be pretty decent. Again though, I think bottom tree is going to be the best because it stops or has a solution to trying to work around a lot of the majority of the nerfs. The last thing to mention, of course, is the Flux Grenades. Fluxes are getting a buff, or what seems like a buff. I currently really like the way Fluxes behave, acting like an easy follow-up or another easy follow-up aside from my melee to a single shot or even like a shotgun shot that doesn't kill. So I'm really enjoying it right now. I'm interested to see how they're going to perform and how hard it is to be able to actually take advantage of them. They're going to have a lot of changes. Basically, they're going to be one-shotting, but they're not going to be nearly as easy to use, or at least I'd assume based on how it reads. So it's going to be interesting to see, but if these are really strong, even though they're going to have a long cooldown, that could make this class really, really good. Being able to get a quick pick with a Flux Grenade could make the difference, and if it's easy enough to do, or like it's not terribly hard to do, I mean, this could be pretty meta defining, I want to say. So we'll see. And of course, bottom tree Arcstrider gives you an avenue to essentially get them more frequently, even though they're going to have a pretty long cooldown time. So it's going to be interesting to see how things go. I didn't talk too much about middle tree Arcstrider. I gotta say, this is the one that I'm least experienced with, and I don't really like the most, in my opinion. I think Tempest Strike is pretty much the center of this class's neutral game, and hitting things, or hitting targets rather, with Tempest Strike gives you a little bit of grenade, melee, and dodge energy back, which is nice. But again, it depends solely on your uptime on Tempest Strike, and with Gambler's Dodge getting a nerf, that uptime might go down a bit. So I don't know, neutral game on this class just isn't as good as I think the other 2 trees, especially bottom tree. I think going to be the best out of these 3 going into the update, like I've said many times. Of course, that's fine though, because the point of this class is that its super performs better. And I mean, hey, if you're getting your super more frequently and more often, then maybe middle tree might rise up a little bit more than I'm anticipating, because it has the best version of the super, and that might be pretty scary, honestly. So who knows? I think Arcstrider going into this next update though is undoubtedly going to be meta. Hope you guys enjoy the discussion. Share your opinions in the comments below if you'd like, but please be civil as I usually ask. Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting, guys. Take it easy. I'll see you in the next one.